And we are now streaming live on YouTube. And welcome to another episode of the Franchise Academy's Franchise FrontRunner podcast. And we are now streaming live. Profiling folks that are the front runners in their franchise. Today we have John Routledge, who owns and operates Nerds to Go in Southwest Florida. Welcome, John.
Hey, good morning, Tom. Great to talk to you today.
Yeah, this is great. I'm so happy to have you on. Got a lot to talk about here.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
greetings to JC, your partner out there, who's actually running the day-to-day.
Absolutely. He's doing all the hard work. Well, I get to sit here and talk to you.
Yeah, there you go. So what are the territories that you cover for Nerds to Go?
So we have Southwest Florida, as you mentioned, Tom. That really covers four major towns: Fort Myers Beach, Estero, Bonita Springs, and Naples, which is the most southerly area. It's about a 300 square mile territory.
Cool. And so, how long have you been in the business?
Well, we launched a sort of soft launch back in May of this year, so been going about 6 months.
Cool. And everything is going well.
It is, yes. Touchwood. It's been a really interesting and enjoyable journey, Tom. But ultimately, we're in a good place. Really starting to see the business develop nicely now.
Yeah, it does take 6 months to a year to get things percolating in the right way, right?
Yeah, I think it's one of these things that in the initial days you sort of, I wonder what tomorrow's going to bring, and you hope the phones are going to ring, and we're at the point now where we're talking about what are we going to do in Q1, how do we expand the business, how do we enhance what we're doing. So we've developed a solid base, and I'm really pleased with the way it's coming along.
That's so great. I'm so happy to hear that. And so, what did you do before you got into franchising?
Well, nothing like I'm doing now. I spent all of my career really is in the corporate world. It's most of it around global logistics, transportation, and latterly in the technology space as a corporate exec.
Yeah, very cool. So you've been in business, 6 short months, but what has been kind of your greatest victory, or maybe a lesson learned since you've been in business?
Yeah, I think one of the same. We all know about the power of social media and digital marketing, and I think that the biggest learning is just how powerful that is. And that may sound a little bit strange, but just getting your name on the top of a Google search is one thing, but you need to back it up with powerful reviews and positive reviews. And you'd be surprised how many people they don't just take the first name that they see on Google, they really dive into the reviews. So I think our biggest victory is that we've really developed locally a nice, strong digital presence. And we've got some really tremendous reviews, really positive reviews. And there's no question that has led to a considerable amount of the additional business that we've been fortunate to get.
That is so awesome. And great advice for anybody listening that
Absolutely.
owns a business, franchised or not. You also had mentioned something about not chasing revenue and being focused on customer experience.
Yeah, it may sound an odd one to sit here as a business owner and say, don't go chasing revenue, because the top line of a P&L is always the revenue line. But my reason for saying that, Tom, is that the revenue comes. Right? If you provide an outstanding customer experience, customers will pay you, and they'll come back and they'll refer you. So my advice to anyone is yes, look, believe me, the revenue will come, but be obsessed with the customer experience. Be better than anyone else in your market at whatever you choose to do, and customers will reward you. They'll reward you with their money, and they'll reward you with positive reviews and referrals.
That's so awesome. Yeah, very well said. And I, again, no matter what your business is, it's all about the online reviews these days. I know I do it myself. So mistakes and lessons, and you said, don't be afraid to fail. So what could you expand on that?
Yeah, I think that Look, at the end of the day, you don't learn an awful lot from your successes. Um, and I don't mean that in a negative way. We tend to celebrate success, but we don't always analyze why we were successful. We just go, yeah, that's great. But I'll tell you what, you do learn from your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to make mistakes. We made mistakes with some of the initial marketing efforts that we made. But we learned from them and really quickly pivoted and refined what we were doing. We knew the importance of digital marketing, but we underestimated just how powerful that was. And we were sort of splitting our time between traditional marketing and digital marketing. And frankly, the traditional wasn't getting us anything. So very quickly we moved away from that and really doubled down on the digital piece. So I think accept that you're going to fail. Fail quickly, but more importantly, learn from it.
There you go. Love that. What's your favorite book? What could you recommend to the listeners and the watchers?
Well, I'm actually one of the sort of business entrepreneurs that I've admired for many, many years is Richard Branson, who's been intensely successful. And ironically, it's through some of his sort of lessons that I sort of follow that mantra of being myopic on customer experience, because he never set out to be a billionaire. He just set out to be disruptive and try and out perform others by looking after the customer. So in terms of a book, his first book, Losing My Virginity, which really talks about his journey. I read that many, many years ago, and I'm actually rereading it again because he updated it a while back and sort of refreshed it. And it's a great story about him, but there's so many lessons for everyone in terms of life and business as to what works and what doesn't. And he'll tell you he failed on a number of things, but learned from it and then went on to be more successful. So I'd thoroughly recommend that read to anyone. It's also intensely amusing at times, so well worth it.
He's an amusing gentleman. I love him. He's definitely one of my top mentors too.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you read a book a second time, as you mentioned, you're going to do or you are doing, is sometimes things just hit you differently because you're at a different space in your life.
Absolutely. And when I first read the book, I was a corporate exec working in a corporation, and reading it now and having gone through a franchise startup business, there are parts that resonate far more now than they did 10 years ago. And it's often worth going back and sort of re-experiencing that. And to your point, you see it through a different set of eyes, and it's really useful.
I think it really is. I really love that. What advice could you give to someone who's actually thinking about buying a franchise right now?
Two pieces of advice I'd give anyone. First of all, really understand your local marketplace, and not just population size and demographics, but frankly, population personality. How do people buy? How do they interact? And the reason for that is that will help you really refine the way that you communicate with them. So that would be my first bit of advice. The second is genuinely understand that as a franchise owner, you're a business owner. No one else is bringing you customers. You have to go and win those customers. The franchise corporation, they'll try and help you and guide you, but you will live or die by your ability to delight your customers. And as long as you go into it remembering that, then you're in good shape.
That is great advice. Love that, John. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure,
So
Tom.
the Nerds to Go, you're covering Southwest Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And so exactly what are you doing? Is it break fix? Explain to the listeners.
Yeah, so it's a mixture of break fix. So if you've got a problem with a laptop, a tablet, cell phone, we will come to you and fix it. We also help people who are looking to upgrade any of their technology. We run training sessions in senior living areas where people have got this technology but just don't know how to use it. So we run sort of like training sessions. And we also offer business plans for small businesses who have technology, right, but don't have the wherewithal to employ someone to manage their technology. So we do that. We effectively become their outsourced IT department. And depending on the level of support that they need, will be there every week, every month, or available on the phone to troubleshoot any issues that they have.
Awesome. So that's Nerds to Go, Southwest Florida, covering Fort Myers all the way down to, we'll call it Marco Island at this
Yep,
point.
absolutely. Just
So
before you get into the water.
right before you hit the alligator.
Absolutely, absolutely. Steer clear of
So
those.
absolutely appreciate your time, John. Thank you so much. Nerds to Go. All the information will be on the franchiseacademy.com, and we'll see you next time.
Wonderful. Thanks, Tom.
Alrighty.